All right. So, psychology of storytelling. When you are having a conversation with somebody and you want to share something with them, something that's affected you, something that's impacted, something that's made a difference for you. You felt it in your core. It's something you deeply feel that's significant, that has consequence. How do you naturally convey that? Say to me, hey, Mark, talk about how you just discovered this brand new amino acid based L-arginine, where blood circulation is really helping with your libido. How would you say
Uh,
that to me? We're chilling at the bar, we're having a couple beers. I'm having trouble because I'm stressed out and I'm just not in the mood all the time. You're just a friend sharing this new thing you found. How do you do that? What are you going to say? Pitch me as a friend.
well, okay. So I was having trouble with my with my
Hold on, let me start it.
okay.
Man, Oscar, I don't know if I should even be telling you this, but I haven't been able to really perform lately, and my woman is feeling neglected, and she's feeling like I'm not really into her, and I am. I'm just stressed, dude. I mean, have you ever had that problem?
Yeah, man, I understand. That really sucks. Actually, maybe 6 months ago, I was experiencing kind of like the same problems. Just having trouble waking up in the morning and appreciating, the outdoors, and more specifically, getting in the mood with the person that I was with during that time. It was just like the mood, yeah, the feeling wasn't there.
Like, you
So
mean,
I
what do
was
you mean? Like your
online.
drive? You just didn't have the
Yeah,
drive?
the
Yeah, that's what I
drive.
just can't. I just don't have the drive. It's like I want to have sex. I just don't have the drive.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going through. So I, used some bro science and started doing some research online. And I actually found this website with this doctor that specializes on this new compound based with L L-arginine something.
Oh, the amino acid.
Yeah, the amino acid. And I wasn't, it caught my attention, so I gave it a try, and man, it worked. It worked. It completely worked. Now I just wake up full of energy. I'm horny all the time, and I just want to, you know, reproduce.
Nah, really? It worked that well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh,
I guess
yeah.
to stop.
I,
So right there is heuristic copywriting. In other
mm,
words, it's not just saying, is your sex drive low? Are you not performing in bed the way that you used to? It's just like it's not just generic copy. It's not
mm,
just talking about the circumstances. This is the story that we tell behind the circumstances. And marketing that connects is about specificity. It's about, do you have a vivid imagination? When somebody says something, you're like, oh, fuck, I don't want to see that. Oh, man, I was hanging out with these two friends and they were both pretty large. And I was just kind of like, they were talking about sex and I was just imagining them have sex. And, it's just like you want to give people the opportunity to self identify. And the way to self identify is more with story. Why? What did I say? Did you read that ebook?
Yeah.
We talk in story.
Yeah.
We communicate through story. So there's always a story that people are telling about the problem you can help address and solve.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, what is that story? How are you going to get me to see myself in something? Something you say, something you experienced, something that someone you helped experienced. What's going to help me see myself? Mirror neurons, empathy. That's what empathy is. Seeing myself and something that you're talking about, something you're describing, something you experienced, and you're telling that story. And it gives me the opportunity to go, oh, yeah, that's me. Oh, right. Right?
Right. Yeah.
So, the beginning of any form of copy in any medium, no matter how it's executed, is giving people the opportunity to self-identify. What do you self-identify with?
Me?
Yeah.
As in,
When are instances that you've self-identified with something, where you've been so immersed in something? It could have been a movie. Maybe it's a song, a commercial, a conversation. When did you self-identify? When were you enthralled with what you were seeing, watching, hearing?
well, that should be some martial arts, some fitness, as in uh, the magazine uh, pages, commercials.
What triggers your empathy? What triggers
Something that,
emotion? What goes, uh? Give me something specific. Fitness is broad. It could mean a ton of things.
oh, actually, I'm using no, like a anti-balding thing for me, for my
Hmm?
hair, so
Sure.
that when I saw the everything, like I read about it, and I made my research, and I was
What's
like,
it called?
fuck. I have it like right there. It's some. You want to see
Grab
it?
it. Yeah, grab it.
Oh. This thing.
Minoxidil. So minoxidil is what's in Rogaine. It's
Yeah, yeah.
it's
So
it's so it's DHT, that testosterone on steroids that suffocates the follicles in men. Male
right.
pattern baldness is just an abundance of a specific kind of testosterone. So when you inhibit the release of telomerase 5 or whatever it's called, it it inhibits the strangling of the follicle and starts allowing for blood flow to exist and for the follicle to open up and for hair to start growing again. That's the mechanism, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So the mechanism is important in writing copy for anything. You need to understand what something does and express it simply, like I just did, because that's your job, to take something extremely complicated and regurgitate it in a way that I can go, that's me. And it has to be simple language. And it has to speak to my story. So why did you pursue information about minoxidil? Did you do research on it?
Yeah, actually, it was kind of like an affiliate sale, I guess. It was some guy with his blog and his, telling the story about, how he found out, and how he found it, and how he was feeling before, and blah blah blah. Like the whole thing. That was like, yeah, I want. You have to prevent it before, as soon as you see that you need it, just get it right away. Like, don't wait, this and that. And so I felt like I got it. I bought it. So I'm using it now. But but yeah, I felt that he was talking to me. I know he was talking to his audience, but he was talking to me in what
So
he was saying.
what resonated with you? What you obviously in the beginning something drew you in. What was that? What got your empathy?
Uh, how he was saying about, like being in the middle of hair or no hair, and being in the middle, like how you start to see, like some spots here, some spots here,
Look
like
who
on
you're
the
talking to.
back.
Look who you're talking to.
Right.
Huh?
So I was like, yeah, like I want to make it look fuller, and I know, well, I don't know, but I read that you can't stop it. Like you can't reverse it, but you can kind of stop it or something like that. That's what I read. I don't know if it's true, but I read that there's no reversing this, but you could kind of stop it, like leave it like this. So I'm hoping that that's truth, the truth, and we'll see. But yeah.
So the reason why I'm asking you these questions is one of the first steps of being successful in this business as somebody who's going to be of massive assistance for anybody who works with you is being able to immediately identify the story that people are telling, because that's going to give you the inroads into the conversation, i.e. positioning, how you answer the conversation, how you grab people's attention, how you own their attention, how you trigger their empathy, how you help them see themselves in whatever it is that you're saying. Now, what you're describing is seeing yourself in somebody's experience that matched your experience, right?
Yeah.
That matched the story you were already having with yourself. Had that person not expressed that experience, which and for some people can be too vulnerable. They don't want to let you in on what they experience. They just want to shove something down your throat without really saying why. And so what you got drawn into is the why. I was feeling like this. This is what I was experiencing. This is how it affected me. This is how it showed up in my life. And that's what turns people on, is real life circumstances that can, like a radio dial, tap into an exact frequency, an exact vibration, an exact feeling place when it just hits you. I did well on a campaign selling an ebook for people who contracted genital herpes uh, and HSV2. And it worked because it immediately grabbed onto the shame, the embarrassment, the devastation of feeling my life is over. My life's over. I'm never gonna find the woman that I can fall in love with, that I can have a family with, all because of one stupid mistake. I'm gonna pay for it for the rest of my life. I'm never gonna be able to have the life I imagined for myself because of her. And then, oh shit, I see her. I see the woman I want to be with, but I can't have her because I have genital herpes. And it was just raw and real. It was telling the story that people who have just contracted genital herpes and are in the infancy stages of that devastation, where it's just raw. And for people like that to have somebody so intimately empathize with that devastation, with that story about how what's going on down here is ending anything that could have happened with a woman out there. Nobody's going to want to be with me. But what if it's possible to naturally put herpes into remission? What if I could tell you how I contracted genital herpes and how now when I go to the doctor to get tested, it's not there. Now, I'm not saying herpes is curable, but I am saying that me and thousands of other people have been able to go on with their lives because of having simple, effective information that you can easily apply without changing very much or anything in your life at all. Would you want it?
Yeah.
The difference between heuristic copy or even NLP or any other kind of psychology is that it gets into the primitive way that all of us think, all the way back to caveman days when they were putting updates on their walls. Literally. Cave drawings.
Yeah.
That's how folklore was passed down from generation to generation, was in pictures and stories, verbal stories. Those traditions were passed down verbally. That's how all of this came to be, was the passing down of stories. And that's what we connect with the most, are stories. We think in stories, we speak in story. No matter what happens in our lives, we need to share it. It's a compulsion. And we need people to connect with it. It's also a compulsion. Who doesn't want validation? Who doesn't want to be seen for what they're experiencing? Who doesn't want to know somebody else out there understands and has been through the feeling place of what I'm going through right now? It's one of the most powerful things that we can do as human beings, connect, empathize. Empathy is how I discovered how to write copy. Through observing people, watching them, watching their body language, their energy. You can see it all. That's why I always do video. I want to see you. Mm-hmm. I want to feel your energy. I will not work with somebody unless they're able to be on video with me. Because it's another layer of potential connection. I get to see your eyes, I get to see your body language. I can see if, oof, that's not resonating. I can see you're in pain. So when somebody puts a product in front of you, what do you think? Do you fear not being able to understand it, not being able to write for it, not being able to get to the crux of what it solves so that you can get into the deepest and highest watermark of emotion within the people that can benefit from it? What do you go through?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gone through other niches to, I know if I could go to like a health niche right now, for example, like it'll be like another fear because I'll have to do the research and it's just so broad, you know, like that would be something that I would like to talk to you about maybe later down the road, you know.
Well, let's just address that right now. Mm-hmm. What you're always looking for is, well, first of all, product quality. Let's just, get the basics out of the way, the fundamentals. Right. Product quality. How does it match up in the marketplace? Is it as good or better? If it's not, then that's a conversation that you need to have with the person who is selling it, because they need to be willing to make it as effective as possible. And copywriters, I mean, some of the best copywriters will say, I'm going to write the copy, make the product match it. There's a lot of those copywriters out there. I am one of them, and I'm not. And so far as I can help develop your product and then write for it, but I'm not going to say I'm going to write the copy, then develop the product.
Right.
I've worked with people in developing supplements and self-development products, dating products, all kinds of different products that have done really well. Mm-hmm. Because when you help develop a product, you're able to hone in on what is going to be the most effective way to enter the conversation. So again, you're looking for mechanism. How does this work for me? So your research is actually really simple, no matter how broad it might feel. What you're looking for is that essential component that makes something work for anybody that is experiencing this issue. And then that helps you get into the conversation, enter the conversation, the highest watermark of emotion.
When you say mechanism, because I've seen a
Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
K2, supplement, K2. It's a vitamin.
Okay.
It's something that we naturally produce to a certain degree, but we need from our food in order to have a plentiful amount. Now, when we don't have a sufficient amount of K2, vitamin K2 in our bodies, what happens is too much calcium is allowed to go into the arteries, to the heart. And when calcium's allowed to go straight to the heart, what happens? The arteries harden, the heart goes into calcification. It becomes potentially life-threatening for somebody if they're taking lots of calcium supplements and they're deficient in the nutrients that help calcium absorb into the bones. So K2 is a huge one. D3, magnesium. Those are three huge ways to get calcium into the bones instead of allowing it to just go into the bloodstream straight to the heart. So the mechanism of K2 is it's like a traffic cop. You go this way, you go this way. That's the mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you can get into the mechanism, you can build anything you want on top of that mechanism. You can position it for heart health. You can position it for bone health. And you can get the citations, peer reviewed, double blind, placebo. You can get those studies to back up your claims. Now, you can't say prevents a heart attack. That's not true. But you can say it will help divert calcium to the bone and away from the heart where it belongs. That is true. You can't make the implied claim that it's going to, save your life.
So that's if you're selling like a supplement based on K2, that's the mechanism is the K2.
That's the mechanism.
Okay.
Magnesium has a myriad of mechanisms. It has over 300 processes, triggers in the body. It's the electrical spark that allows for energy to exist in the body. If you don't have enough, just by looking at the screen right now, having this conversation, you are using up so much, an abundance of magnesium. Now, what happens if you don't replenish that magnesium from your diet? What happens? You have less energy. You likely have less energy. You're likely fatigued. Your brain isn't likely firing in all cylinders, brain fog. What does that mean? Those are the circumstances. What is the story? Every day when I wake up, it feels like I didn't even go to sleep. I struggle to get out of bed. I struggle to meet my obligations and responsibilities. I struggle to be there for the people who need me there in their lives. I can't do well at work. I'm constantly making excuses. I'm constantly apologizing. And I don't know what the problem is. I've tried everything. Hey, Dr. Inigo Montoya here. Did you know that magnesium is essential for over 300 processes in the body, including the electrical charge that makes energy possible? Did you also know magnesium is essential to relax? You can't relax if your blood magnesium, your cell magnesium reserves are low. You can't, and you're suffering because of it. Very, very, very likely. There is a solution, a bioavailable solution. With this hexahydrate, magnesium spray, transdermal, put it on your body, your skin drinks it up. That's how you know your body wanted it and needed it. And And you can start experiencing the potential results of having a replenished reserve of magnesium in your body. Imagine having more energy. Imagine waking up in the morning ready to go. Imagine feeling passionate again about work, about helping people. Imagine having the energy to go on walks and hikes and bike rides and playing tennis and not thinking twice, not wondering, can my body do this? You can, right? Mechanism has to be heuristically possible for me, because what do people, what does anybody first do when you say, hey, blah, 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 I could do this? Objection. Who are you? What is this? How does this work? If you run into that, you're not doing your job. You have to be able to very quickly, plainly, transparently, through your copy, build that mechanism that gets through that story that this is just the way life is. I've already tried everything, nothing worked. I went to this doctor, he thinks I'm crazy. He said I'm fine.
So the mechanism
in my head.
So the mechanism is not the product. It's like,
it's what the product does for me and why it can work for me and not just you. Why what you're expressing and communicating is possible for me. And the only way I'm going to believe that is if there's a clear mechanism, a clear way for me to go, oh, I get it. Huh, that makes sense. But on a much deeper emotional level, where it's connecting with my story and giving me that hope that even though everything I've tried didn't work, there's a reason this does. And I can't look away from that. I can't just disregard it. And maybe it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 touches. I'm seeing it all the time. I should have just gotten it 2 weeks ago. And by the way, you have 60 days to prove me right. If you don't feel exponentially more energy, if you don't feel infinitely more relaxed and at peace with yourself, if you don't feel more alive and creative and passionate than you have in years, we don't deserve your money. Please use the bottle. This is our empty bottle guarantee. If you don't feel everything we're saying is possible, contact us and we will give you a no questions asked refund. However, give your body the chance to feel what you know is possible again. Give your body the fuel it needs to make energy possible, right? Mm-hmm. So I take my guarantee, I bring my mechanism back into it. I'm bringing my mechanism back into it in subtle ways every time I can, because I want to continuously reaffirm this belief that it can work for me. As I'm listening, as I'm watching, as I'm reading. So if you were to write for do you do any supplement writing at all? Health writing?
I haven't know.
What do you feel like? Oh, I could do that. What space?
Well, I sent you before. I made maybe 90% of my copy was like internet marketing, like little launches. That's what I've been doing. But in terms of what I like, yeah, I'm into fitness. I would like health. I like the bodybuilding supplements, stuff like that.
Good. What do you like about
dating?
Dating. Are you single?
No.
You married?
But I have a serious girlfriend. But I've been a client too, also to those ebooks and teachings. I've been a learner. I've been a student for dating. I've been a student for fitness. I've been a student for marketing, internet marketing. So I feel like those that I actually like, I could maybe write copy for. I've
okay,
written
so
copy for.
Let's go with dating. Now, I've done a lot of dating copy, and I reserve the right to use this mechanism whenever possible because I found it to be so gosh darn effective, which is the triggering of dopamine. So, like for instance, I wrote something called the relationship rewrite method. It was just for an ebook. And it was for women, believe it or not. And I was actually cynical there was a market here. Turned out there's a huge market. Women who want to get their man back. And it's like, what woman wants to get a man back? I mean, come on. But yeah, they're out there. And what the mechanism of the product was so incredibly simple. It's ridiculous. Compliments. So if I go, oh, damn, Oscar, that was some of the best copy I have read. There's nobody I've seen write dating copy like that in a long time. You're going to associate me with that burst of dopamine, that reward that you just got. And you're going to start wanting more from me, naturally.
Right.
But it has to be real. It has to be authentic. And so the mechanism was simply, subtly trigger a dopamine response in your man. Make him chase you. That's it. And it worked.
But was that in the product, or was that you thinking?
That was how I sold the product.
Right.
The product was the actual how. The sales letter was the what. So the mechanism was the what. The mechanism was if you know how to give compliments in just the right way, and there's case studies to show, so the book was going through that. You will be associated with triggering a very specific and desirable response. Again, this is heuristics. Heuristics are all about symbols. So if I make myself a symbol of something, you're going to want more. And that's the mechanism. And it was, I would have to bring the copy up, but the way that the mechanism was communicated just in the very beginning, just in that first what if question. Let me see if actually I can find it, because this was copy that did well. Very well. It converted at over 5% on cold traffic on Facebook. So that's not. So if you're like most women, I've shown the surprising brain trick to you. You might find what I'm about to say a little hard to believe, but I stumbled upon a hidden psychological loophole in the male mind that makes or breaks any romantic relationship or any potential relationship you're hoping might develop. Now, this may sound like bad news, but your man or the man you have eyes on is always thinking about a woman. And if it isn't you, it's definitely someone else, because men are hardwired to chase. And the moment that chase mechanism stops being triggered is when he starts pulling away, ignoring you, and becoming emotionally distant. It's knowing how to constantly and subtly trigger this chase mechanism within him that makes or breaks any romantic relationship. In fact, I discovered that not knowing this incredibly subtle but powerful relationship secret virtually guarantees or always find a reason to lose interest, pull away, ignore you, or just plain shut you out. And the worst part is, it doesn't matter how hard you try to connect with him, reach out to him, or make yourself vulnerable so he'll reach out to you. But right here in the next few minutes during this free relationship presentation, I'm going to show you the real reason men pull away, because become distant and lose interest. And the number one simple method or brain trick I discovered that can go get through any man's emotional armor, so he's the one chasing you, desiring you, and wanting you. It's a secret psychological trick that works on any man virtually 100% of the time without him even knowing it. So you get how I used the mechanism to start the conversation, to enter the conversation?
Yeah.
And it worked.
Wow.
Very well. Why did it work?
Because you're empathizing with their pain through the story that you're telling, right?
because being shut out, feeling ignored, I actually did, I paid $100. I interviewed 10 people, $10, just locally. I put up an ad on Craigslist, just quick case study. Meet me, blah, 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 meet me at Noble Coffee. Just want to have quick questions. I'll buy you a coffee, give you $10. It's going to take 15 minutes max. And so I asked these women, when you're ignored by a man, or if you're afraid he's ignoring you, or whatever, what is it that you fear the most? And being shut out, or him not loving me as much as I love him, were the overwhelming answers. And I got lots of stories, and I used all of that information to help find that dog whistle language, the tone that's going to resonate. And then I integrated the mechanism into that tone. It matches James Brower's voice and continues his brand. And, so there were so many reasons why it worked. Now, the owner of the product, Jordan Hall, who's big, and he has what Men Secretly Want, which I think is the top control on self-help right now in ClickBank. I interviewed the shit out of him, and I actually wrote a script before this one called the X-Back Time Machine. And because after we went through it we collaborated on it, and after we went through it, I realized this isn't right. This isn't it. That's not it. And I was like, I'm sorry, dude, but I need to redo it. I have a better idea, and that's what it became, the relationship rewrite method. I branded it. I came up with everything. So, but it was through interviewing him, collaborating with him, and not being attached to my copy when I realized, oops, I didn't quite find the right brand, the right messaging, the right inroads to the conversation that's going to get the most self-identification from women. So I redid it.
So what if you got that client already had that product made, how to get your relationship back, your man back through like compliments, and he has,
he already has a performing control.
No, even without having a control, without just he has a product. He has module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4. I don't know, compliments this and that, and he gives it to you, and then you have to write the copy, and then by going through the product, you find the mechanism, which is not in the product itself. It's you like thinking, right? Like putting something together and being, okay, so the dopamine, and then using that as the sales letters mechanism, right? Like it's not in the product itself. It's like you coming up with it.
Correct.
By yourself.
Correct. The right. Dopamine response is not in the ebook.
Right. That's okay. So that's right. I haven't, like me, if I get a product myself, I'll go through the whole product and write a copy with that product and maybe the story of the product creator. But I haven't gone that far to think.
So again, it's asking the right questions. Why do compliments work? Go down that rabbit hole and you will find the science. Always. And when you base something, first of all, this is coming from a doctor's voice. And when you base something off of science and your mechanism, it's bulletproof. If you do it right. So I had a mechanism that's, let me see, actually.
I don't find a mechanism for each and every one of your products that you go through?
Yes. Yeah, so the X-Back Time Machine did use the same mechanism. So it starts out with a picture of a brain, right? And it says, this is a relationship time machine. Yeah, I know, it's a human brain. But deep inside this brain, Your relationship memories, your happy moments, your sad ones, moments of profound intimacy and connection, and moments of devastating betrayal. Moments of, why am I with this person? Moments of feeling totally loved, totally complete in each other's arms. This relationship time machine is where your story of us is stored, and it's the old story that made him drift away. No, you didn't make him leave. It's the bad memories that made him forget how wonderful you are, how amazing of a soul level connection you truly have. But what if you could rewrite the old story? What if you could erase the bad memories? What if you could go back to the pure connection that brought you together, back to the fire, infatuation, and overwhelming desire you both had for each other? Here's the thing, you can't. And you can no matter what your old story is about or why your love hit rock bottom. Maybe one of you cheated and recovering from it was just too hard. Maybe he had a hard time being himself around you and always felt the need to hide, which is the kiss of death for any relationship. Maybe one or both of you had a difficult time remaining open and vulnerable. Whatever the old story is, if you give me just 5 minutes of your time and you really love him, I'll tell you exactly how to get him back and create a whole new life together. By the end of this free relationship saving presentation, I promise with all of my heart, you'll be thinking, if I only knew this then, if I only knew then what I know now. That was the beginning of the conversation in the original copy I wrote. And reading it, it's not even that bad.
Right. Good.
And it was never tested. So who knows, it could have performed. But I still felt like I'm making it convoluted. Like the hook was too big for the mechanism. The hook was cheesy, maybe a little conceptual and a little difficult to connect with. That was my concern. So I pulled it. Mm-hmm. It's not bad copy, but who cares? There's only effective or ineffective copy. Good or bad copy, that's just subjective BS that has no business being on the table. Right. You know, my sister told me she thought the copy was a little too aggressive. Fuck your sister. Is it effective? Right. Does it connect with people? Does it make them care? Does it make them believe? Yes or no? Results don't lie. Data doesn't lie. Your sister does. So, and I'm not, oh, she doesn't even know she's lying. She just doesn't know. And neither do we. You got to get that baseline. But you got to launch with what you really believe is going to be the most effective. I didn't believe that was going to be the most effective, and I didn't want Jordan to invest in something I wasn't jacked about, where I can easily explain why it would work, and not come up with enough objections to dampen the expectation of success, or create an uphill battle for him, the client, by not going, shit, I fucked up. I mean, it's good, but I fucked up. This isn't it. You have to be able to do that. Which means you can't be attached to anything you write. I forgot what I wrote yesterday because I don't care. I'm digging what I'm writing today. I'm just taking the best bits of what I've discovered from the past and applying it so that I can keep doing that. I hate learning. It's disgusting. I love discovering new things.
Gotcha.
Learning, you become attached to it. This is mine. When you discover something, it's just like, oh, cool, I can apply that. Mm-hmm. Next. Right?
Yeah.
So, again, the purpose, the reason for starting here, because the next session is going to be both applying this and responding to the doc that you wrote for your goals and your mindset and how you need to show up for yourself so you can show up for other people. We need to go through that because that's so important. Your mindset is 100% going to make or break your success, not the information. The information is just something that you get to apply with the right mindset. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So when somebody puts a product in front of you, I want you to know within 30 seconds what to do with it. And that means asking the right questions. So when somebody puts a product in front of me and says, it's just about compliments. Well, damn right, my first question is going to be, why do compliments work? What is it that it does in the body that makes it consistently work? Isn't that the obvious question to ask? And then by discovering that, I was able to go, oh, huh, it just does that. Again, another. So what it is, it becomes Coke. It's the same response in the brain. Sugar, Coke, MSG, compliments. And then when I realized that, and I realized the power of that message, I was like, well, how can I apply this? What can I do with it? I got too conceptual with the X-Back time machine. But I hit the nail on the head with the relationship rewrite method. Because in the X-Back market, the first thing that you need to do is convince them that it's okay. They need to have that upliftment, that instant capture of, yeah, this is what I'm going through. Oh, what? Huh. Tell me more. That's why that copy worked. So what I want us to do, and I want to give you the option, because we're going to write, remember, we're going to write a VSL this month.
Yep.
You and me. And we can do it on one of my products. We could do it on one of your products. You could look out there at campaigns that you are fascinating with, and we could write our own. I want you to take time to research, and instead of just saying, yeah, let's just go with blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. I want you to go out there. I want you to research. I'll send you some copy I have that sucks to give you an idea of the product. It's a binaural beats program.
A binaural what?
Binaural beats.
What's that?
So your brain works in waves. Delta, theta, beta, alpha, gamma. Mm-hmm. Theta tones are where your story, your conditioning is stored. So binaural beats, you have to wear headphones, and it takes a theta frequency and puts slightly different tones in each ear. And it forces the brain via the corpus callosum, the band of fibers that connect the left and right side of the brain, to fire, creating hemispheric synchronization, where you can start using your whole brain. And what it also does is help clear away the old story, the old beliefs, the old judgments, the old conditioning. I found a stat scientifically backed, where I used in the Wealth Compass, that 97% of our conscious attention basically is driven by our subconscious. That's theta, that's conditioning. That's, you know, where did your beliefs about love come from, about money, about people, about the world? Most people can't identify exactly where they came from. And if they can, they're like, oh, fuck, that was from my mom. She always said I couldn't do that. Yeah. And I hated her for it. Right? So that's a limiting belief. It's just conditioning. And we can clear that away. And then we can help put something else more productive, more positive in that place. Right? Mm-hmm. Because nature's a whore. That's my way of saying nature abhors a vacuum. Empty space must be filled. But when you're starting to take things out of the subconscious and put them into the conscious awareness, the illusion that I used to give my power away to stops having power over me. And then that's when things start getting fun. So I have the Wealth Compass 15-minute manifestation, which is the number 2 product in the spiritual marketplace on ClickBank. And they're just binaural theta, binaural tone products. Just tones, beats, with One of them has my guided meditation, the Wealth Compass. But so the mechanism is very clear. Play a tone, make the brain do this, clear away that. Back by this, and this, and this, and this. Mm-hmm. Right? But done in a compelling, emotionally connective, empathizing way. Storytelling. How can, it's just like my story in 15-minute manifestation works because it's a symbol for everything that most people fear could happen to them. Homelessness, all, just like, but through the power of my headphones, just by listening to my headphones for 15 minutes a day, I did this. And it worked. Because again, the mechanism allowed people to what?
Connect.
Self-identify, connect, yes, self-identify and believe. At least enough people that it became extremely profitable. Right?
Yeah.
So can't help everybody, and you can't be everything to everybody, but there are archetypal stories everybody tells about something. Right?
Yeah.
What's that story? What's going to get the most people to raise their hands and say, yes, that's me? I see myself in what you just said. Really? You did what? 60 days? How much? Where? Right?
That story comes from the product creator mostly, right?
Depends.
Or if
you need to, if the product creator has a good story, absolutely. Like I had a guy that developed a text marketing system that had algorithms that made it more effective because it was done in compliance. So it landed on more people's phones, got higher rates of response. And we were able to clearly describe the mechanism for why it worked. The guy is rich, blown away success. Simple mechanism. But marketers all around the world saw the power in it and loved it and use it.
Yeah.
And tell their stories. And he gets to tell those stories to sell more and more and more. But it's how you show up in interviewing, asking the right questions, doing the right research beforehand so that you're equipped to be able to get to the mechanism as quickly as possible. Because what is a copywriter during a campaign? What's their number one job? Really, it's to lead. Lead collaboratively, not take over unless they really want you to and pay you enough. Yeah. But it's to lead, to help lead.
You have.
But how can you help lead if you're not asking the right questions? You're the chain and the link that's broken. Mm-hmm. Which means you're taking money to actually weaken their launch or relaunch or whatever they're having you do. You're adding toxicity instead of leadership, creating the opportunity for creative to go sideways, development hell. Ugh. But development hell happens most of the time because of the copywriter, not the client. And that's really important to remember, because how you show up, it's like if I didn't show up with the right questions, if I didn't do the research, if I didn't get the mechanism and pitch it to him, just like in the olden days on Mad Men with the storyboarding and the elaborate speech to sell the work, you still have to do that. You have to sell the work. You have to prove the work. So show the example of it and get people on board with your vision, with your leadership, with your research, with asking the right questions, with having a clear mechanism to bridge the problem with the solution that they're selling. That's what mechanism is. It's that bridge that makes me believe this problem can be solved by this. And that's your job, to come forth with all of that in the very beginning. Because if you don't, it will go sideways. Development hell is a virtual guarantee. And then that diminishes your reputation. That makes it harder for them to work with somebody who's really going to be able to do it for them, because they're cynical now. And they're going to take that cynicism to every copywriter they talk to. So you're causing toxicity in the marketplace and individually in their businesses, rather than bringing the help they're paying you for. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So that's why this conversation is so important, because you need to be able to know how to break down any product just by asking, how does this work? Why does this work for me? And going down that rabbit hole, getting that mechanism so that we can make that mechanism, the story, something in the campaign, a symbol for what we solve, heuristically. Just like Coca-Cola is a symbol for pop culture. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Questions?
I'm still, I know my brain is absorbing the mechanism part. I'm just like trying to think of it in like specific terms for each product. Like, what would I do for this product as a mechanism?
So let's bring up a product. Let's unpack it.
Let's say a pickup product, picking up girls on the park, in the street, or whatever, right? They teach you this is how you could approach it, show confidence, show, always like ask for the sale, like the number. These are the 10 best lines that you could say. Don't be over nervous, don't be this and do that. Okay, fine. That's the product. Now, as my job as a copywriter, I have to take the mechanism out. What would that mechanism be for?
So here's one. This is an upsell. Okay, a lot of women will never fuck you the first night you meet them, no matter how many objections or reasons you overcome. Maybe she has her period. Maybe she has to go to work at 5 a.m. or study for an exam. Maybe she's just one of those super shy types and needs to know who you are before she'll ever submit to being your lover or girlfriend. That's normal. So the question is, what do you do when you put in the work to open a new sexual connection with a hot girl up, and you really want to fuck her or get to know her, but can't immediately close the deal? Well, it's all about setting up future dates. That's how you could easily develop a buffet of sex partners with beautiful women, because the only other option is never seeing them again and never sleeping with them or getting to know them better, which shouldn't ever be an option. It goes like this. Once you've developed a lead, or you get a girl interested in you, it's really important to set up future dates with those leads as quickly as you possibly can. Now, I need you to pay close attention, because there's a very specific way to set up a date on the spot, as in the moment you first meet a girl and build a rapport. Blah, 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 blah. So how to get her phone number, set up date right away via text using my dopamine brain trick, so the lead doesn't go cold and the girls you want to sleep with or get to know don't disappear from your life forever. Here's a quick example of the importance of setting up dates. Check this out. I privately coached a dude named Steve for a while. He was this shy 25-year-old virgin. When we started working together, Steve said, "I honestly don't know why I have a cock. It's not like I ever use it." He believed it would be impossible to compete against better looking, richer guys over the girls he fantasized about. He said, "When I do get somewhere with a girl I'm interested, which is next to never, I'm not necessarily trying to take her home. I want to get to know her. But I always walk away saying something really dumb, like, I hope to see you again." Then, of course, some other douchebag swoops in and all my hard work was for nothing. It really hurts. Well, I ended up working with Steve for about 3 weeks via Skype, teaching him the system. And while it took a bit longer to get the hang of things, Steve finally got laid in his second week using the system. And his song changed slightly. He said, "Now that I'm meeting all these hot women, it feels like a waste to only take one of them home per night." What a shift, right? So by the third week, I was teaching him how to set up dates. because he was getting too many women on the hook and couldn't possibly close all the deals at the same time. And on the fourth week of working with Steve, he traveled from San Diego to New York for a boot camp training program I did. I took him along with two other dudes out for a night in the Big Apple. And Steve took his newest skill out for a test drive. What was amazing was within only 2 hours, Steve was setting up dates for later that night and the next night like a fucking champ. By the time Steve left NYC, he slept with 3 8s and 2 9s, all because he discovered how to set up dates with the women he used the system on. Bottom line, dude, knowing how to set up dates and how to control circumstances on those dates so you can guarantee getting laid or bringing a hot girl into your life and really getting to know her is a crucial part of knowing how to use the system. And for the first time ever, I'm giving you the chance to discover how to get to know more women, have infinitely more sex, or meet girls to find the one chick who really does it for you by giving you my proven dating strategies. I'll reveal why setting up dates is the best way to have sex or get to know as many women as possible, where to set up your dates and why. This is a must for 99.9% of guys. How to make sure you never fall prey to the friend zone. How to take control over her logistics or circumstances so getting laid on your first date is practically a no-brainer. How to test hot leads to set up dates and make sure she doesn't flake on you. Hint, I'm going to show you how to trigger the dopamine response via text. This skill is going to blow your mind. The best way to organize your leads into your schedule so you never let hot girls slip through the cracks. How to perfectly time the pacing of a date so you don't try to take her home before you build a big enough romantic rapport with her first. What to do when you get her back to your house, room, or apartment. How to keep using the dopamine response on the same woman if you're interested in making her your girlfriend. You could even have different women that you see regularly on rotation if that's something you want to experience. So I'll stop. But do you see how I took a mechanism, how I took a hook, how I took a specific skill, because this is an upsell, and I used a story to draw them in, and it worked. And I'm speaking their language, and this is away from the front end ad, so Facebook didn't care. So, because the front end is the biggest part of compliance. Your lead gen, your front end sale mechanism, whether it's a sales letter or something. But so here's mechanism, here's hook, here's stories. This Steve is a symbol for the men that buy this. You see how I made him a heuristic symbol so that men could see themselves in that?
Yeah.
And then the mechanism drives it home, along with the system branding.
So the mechanism in that one?
Dopamine, which was a continuation from the front end and just the same mechanism I used in many dating products, actually. I have used other ones successfully, but it's just so fun to use because it's so easy and real. And really is at the core of what they're really selling. Like this product is essentially a self-help product. It basically just teaches men how to talk to women like people and not be douchey. The product is actually good, but you got to speak the bro talk to get them in before they care about that self-growth, because they don't realize they're getting a self-growth product necessarily. But that's what it is. It's a self-growth product, self-development product.
When you're writing that, do you have a structure? Or do you have part 1, part 2, part 3? Or?
I have a structure, a heuristic structure, and we're going to break that down. We're going to go through it in the next session. Awesome. But we're going to dive into it in multiple sessions. Mm-hmm. Because each element has a lot going on to unpack. And I want you to understand it intimately so you know how to do it.
Do you feel that a written sales letter and a spoken VSL are different to write? Like different structures, different ways? Slightly.
Just formatting, and yeah, definitely if somebody's speaking it and it's written, when I go through a VSL to make it a sales letter, very little needs to be done, but I do tweak it some.
Right.
And also your sub headlines and things like that.
Yeah.
Picking all that out and making them pop.
And also the VSL doesn't really have a headline, right? Just start.
It usually has one of it. Even though some of the best headlines right now are make sure your speakers are turned up.
Right.
So let's stop it here. I want you to do your research on what product you want to write, what our sales letter is going, our VSL is going to be about. Could be one of my products, could be one of your products, could be a top performing control. But just, I want you to be excited about it, and I want you to feel confident about it, which means doing the research and asking the questions and presenting your why for wanting to write it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And are you available to meet on Thursday?
Yeah.
Let's do Thursday at 1 o'clock. I'm going to add on another one because I just want to get momentum going.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, so your research is about what I just said, doing the videos that we talked about, and writing copy to go with them. And just a little bit more prefacing and framing for the videos. I want you to research what people are going through, and I want you to put a solution in front of them. Fake. Doesn't have to exist. It could be real. Doesn't matter. But I want you to pitch man it.
For the VSL, you mean?
Your videos, the videos that I talked about on Skype. Am I making sense?
You said make a Instagram video.
Right. So I gave you examples, and I'm giving you more information on that so that you can research the topics and make sure you're putting a solution in front of them or a tease for a solution. Open that loop so that there's anticipation, dopamine. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, Oscar here. Do the libido, the L-arginine. Do a video on that. Sell it to me as if you're the product owner. And then I want you to sell me, the product owner, on you being the copywriter to write for it with another video, as if it's an ad on Instagram. So you're being the product owner, you're doing the pitch, and then you're telling me why you're the copywriter to write that pitch. It's weird, right? Do it.
Boom a little bit, yeah.
Just do it. Rewatch that part if you need clarity, just hit me up.
Okay.
So you got your homework, and then on Thursday, we're going to open up a doc and go through elements, how to open the lead, how to get people's attention, how to just start applying everything that we talked about in the actual copy on the spot, in the class, screen sharing. All right?
Okay.
All right. So I'll hear from you, and then I'll see you Thursday at 1 my time, 4 your time.